is almost a little upsetting to think about, but The Sims 4 is nearly 10 years old. It first launched back in September of 2014, so on September 2nd this year, it'll be The Sims 4's 10th birthday. Now, obviously, I know The Sims 4 has been around for a really long time, but that's kind of a difficult number for me to wrap my head around. It makes me feel old, if I'm being honest, because this game first launched when I was a freshman in high school, and part of me still feels like it just came out, but it did not just come out. In fact, it's actually kind of an old game. The Sims 4's life cycle has been significantly longer than any previous Sims game. To give some context, The Sims 3 was around for about 5 years. It first came out in June of 2009, and then of course we got The Sims 4 in 2014. But The Sims 4 is still kicking, and it sounds like it's gonna be around for a lot longer. I don't think they have any plans to move on from it anytime soon, and they're even talking about making The Sims 4 and whatever this Project Renee thing is simultaneously. So we'll see how that goes. But with this 10th anniversary approaching, I feel like we can probably expect something big for The Sims 4 next month. And in this video, I want to give some ideas and also speculate a little bit about how they're going to celebrate. I literally made a PowerPoint for this because I have so much I want to say. So welcome to my 10 years of The Sims 4 presentation. As we have discussed, The Sims 4's 10th anniversary is approaching. I have some expectations for this, and I hate to say it, but they are pretty high. I feel like they cannot just let this 10th anniversary pass by. If they don't do something for this, I am gonna be devastated. So in this video, I want to walk you through some of my ideas for what they could do. I'll also walk you through some of my fears for what I think they might not do. And something to note is that September 2nd is on a Monday, and they always do updates on Tuesdays. So if there is an update, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened the next day on the 3rd, or maybe the week before on the 27th, but we'll see. I'm just guessing, which is also important to note. I am just guessing, okay? This video is speculation. I am theorizing to you about what I want them to do. I don't actually know if they have any plans. So just so we're clear, none of this is fact. I'm not giving you any Sims news. I'm just telling you what I want to see. I am a big fan of The Sims, and it's fun for me to talk about these things and guess about them. Unfortunately, if I had to guess, I would probably expect it to be worse than whatever I mention here. My problem is that I tend to dream big, and it never usually matches my expectations. To help manage those expectations, I do have a list here of some things that have happened on previous anniversaries. Probably the most relevant comparison is The Sims 4's 5th birthday. We actually got a pretty huge base game update for the 5th birthday, and that was kind of lucky timing because it fell right before Realm of Magic came out, and they typically do pretty big base game updates before PAX. Obviously, we just got a pretty big base game update pre-Lovestruck, so like, would they do it again in September? I don't know. And in that base game update, we got some new patio furniture with this lounge chair. It was the first base game lounge chair. We also got a hijab for the first time in the base game and some more Muslim-inspired clothing, and they actually work with a real-life fashion designer for it, so it was kind of cool. They also added this window and door set, so we got 2 new windows, 2 new doors, and a new archway in the base game, and most importantly, probably, we got that huge configurable stair update. Before this, the stairs were just straight up and down, and then after this update, you could kind of twist them around a little bit and have L-shaped stairs and really customize how they worked. This was huge. I was like on the ground in tears over this stair update because I was so excited about it. That would be really hard to match, I must say. That is like a massive base game feature, and I don't think any of us really expected it. A lot of people had been wanting things like spiral staircases, which obviously we still don't have. And this isn't quite a spiral staircase, but it actually is a little bit more functional than spiral staircases because it's more customizable. So that was a pretty big update, okay? It was lucky timing, but it was really, really good. And they haven't really celebrated The Sims 4's birthday since then, at least not in a huge way, but they did celebrate The Sims franchise's birthday. I realize that's kind of confusing, but The Sims 4 came out in September and The Sims 1 came out in February of 2000. So back in 2020, they celebrated 20 years of The Sims existing, and that is when we got the infamous hot tub. I'm sure you know about this one. The Sims community had really hyped up this 20th anniversary because that's a big deal. A game franchise being around for 20 years is kind of huge. So everybody kind of expected something really big to celebrate this. And then the 20th anniversary comes and we get this kind of ugly hot tub. It's not bad. And it was the first time we got a hot tub in the base game. It has a couple of plain swatches, but it also has a couple of chaotic swatches like this one with the green plumb bobs that make it kind of hard to use. And this was really controversial at the time because before this, we only ever had hot tubs in the Perfect Patio stuff pack. So people were spending $10 just to get hot tubs because that's the whole thing in Perfect Patio. There's not really anything else. It's got a little bit of furniture, but like the whole big gameplay feature is hot tubs. And then The Sims turns around and gives one out for free, which means there's no reason to buy that pack unless you want to have a couple of extra variants. But if you're buying it just for gameplay, they've kind of made that pointless. So people felt like they kind of got scammed by it. It's always a little bit iffy when they do that because on one hand, it's nice everybody has access to something, but also it does suck if you bought something just to have it and now you've wasted your money. They've put hot tubs in more packs now, like even For Rent had a hot tub in it, so I don't think it would have been as big of a deal if this happened today, but it was a big problem when it first came out. So you combine like the weird scammed feeling plus it being ugly and also only being one item, and everybody was really upset about this hot tub. It was like offensive that we just got this hot tub after 20 years of the game being out, and I can see why people were mad. You'd almost want them to do like a new item instead of something like this for such a big anniversary. I feel like by this point, the hot tub has kind of turned around and become a little bit more iconic. And they actually did post a huge thing celebrating 20 years. And I kind of liked this. They made this kind of cool graphic about a bunch of stats. Like there have been 4 Sims games, 75 plus packs. I think The Sims 4 might have more than 75 packs alone now, which is kind of upsetting because that means across all of the games. The Sims 4 has a ton of packs on its own. There have been over 1.6 billion Sims created, 6.9 million vampires, a million mermaids, 217,000 aliens, 1.3 billion woohoos. I mean, I think this is cool. I did actually really enjoy hearing about this, and I'd love to see more stats like this more often about the game, but I also like to see base game updates. So the hot tub was again a big controversy. And weirdly, it actually felt like we got a bigger update the next year for the 21st anniversary of The Sims. That's when they did that CC creator collab. So the whole theme was to have 21 gifts made by a bunch of different CC creators added to the game. And there was a ton of variety. There was clothing, there was makeup, we got furniture, and a lot of those items are some of my favorite ones that we have in the game. I feel like this is a really cool way to celebrate the community and also give a huge platform to CC creators. It gives paid work from EA to CC creators, and then people get cool new stuff. Like we got this dining set, we had some toddler stuff, there was makeup, there was even new foods added to the game. This was a skin detail. You know I use this dresser in like pretty much every single build. We had a lipstick, a hat, there was a t-shirt, and some jeans. I mean, this was a really nice update, I felt like. This was kind of cool because they actually interviewed all the creators to explain some things. So I'll link this down below in case you want to go back and read it. It actually kind of makes me wonder if this was easier for them because they didn't have to make the stuff, or if it was like a logistical nightmare to pick the creators and then manage how they were making everything. Because it sounds like it'd be easier if they don't have to make it themselves, but also I think the process of trying to hire that many people and like organize the whole thing was probably a lot. They have done that a couple times since. We got like some nail polish with the spa day refresh, but it's been a while. And then for the 22nd anniversary, it was small. It was just a sale. I only put that on here because it felt like a good example of like a smaller thing that they could do because these were all sort of bigger celebrations. So with that context, that kind of helps us start brainstorming for how they might celebrate this 10th anniversary. 10 years is a big deal. So we've seen them do things like social media posts, they've had pack sales, maybe news announcements. They also have this new SDX drop system now for like mini updates, and they could do a big, massive base game update. And I want to walk you through my ideas for all 5 of these different categories. I don't think we'll get one of each, but I think we might get some combination of them. So first, kind of starting small, what could they do for a social media post? I think no matter what, they have to post on socials to celebrate. There's been some drama in previous years with them not posting about The Sims 4's birthday. If they don't post anything about this, could you imagine if they didn't acknowledge the 10th anniversary? Like you have to acknowledge it somehow. I feel like their social team has been pretty on it. Recently, they've had some kind of fun memes posted, especially around Love Struck coming out. So I've got high hopes for this. I feel like my biggest fears around social media posts are that we only get a social media post and nothing else. Or worse, they like forget and post late or something. As far as what it should look like, I'd love to see some references reference to Sims 4 stuff, maybe characters, different themes, different jokes. I also really loved that stat post they did for the 20th anniversary. I think that would be really cool to do it again. I think it would be especially fun to compare how it might have changed since that a couple years ago. I'd love to see like number of players, number of woohoos again, number of deaths. I'm like a little data nerd. If they could break it down between different types of deaths, oh my god, I would love to see that. I think a lot of people would also care about that. Big time Sims fans would be really interested in that. And the 10th birthday is a time to celebrate big time Sims fans. So in an ideal world for me, we'd get a post like that with stats, and then we'd also get an update. These are a couple of posts they've done recently. These aren't actually that funny, they're just examples, but these are nice posts. Like giving a star rating to woohoo is funny. So I'd like to see something kind of like this for the birthday. I think they could also totally do a pack sale for this. They've done sales in the past for birthdays, and I think having like a big Sims 4 10th anniversary sale is good timing. Unfortunately, I don't think Lovestruck will be on sale for this. I checked and that pre-order early purchase bonus item ends on September 5th. So I don't think they'll put Lovestruck on sale until after the early purchase bonus ends. So I wouldn't expect that to go on sale so soon, but they could totally put all of the other packs on sale. And I was wondering, they could possibly give out another kit for free too. They've given out both the Desert Luxe kit and the Blooming Rooms kit for free in the past. It's kind of like them going on sale, but for 100% off. And there are so many kits, they could totally give out another kit. I don't know which one it would be, but if they had a big sale and a free pack, that would be a cool way to celebrate. I was also thinking a little bit about news and like maybe different announcements they could do. I don't think a pack will drop in September because we just got Lovestruck. Maybe we could get kits in September, but realistically, they could potentially announce like an expansion pack in September with a fall release date. I don't know if I actually think they will. I feel like they'd probably wait a little bit more and have like a November-ish release. So I don't think they'd announce it this early. I'm just kind of throwing out ideas because it might be kind of cool to announce a highly requested feature like ferries or hotels or something around the anniversary. I just think the timing won't work out. So it's probably more likely to be a kit announcement if there is an announcement, because again, I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm just thinking schedule-wise what they might do. They also could potentially drop news about Project Renee, which is that like next generation Sims game. Personally, my preference would be to have Sims 4 announcements if they're gonna announce something. I don't want to hear about a different game on the Sims 4's birthday, so I would be disappointed if that was like the only celebration. But there is some big drama around Project Renee right now because there are some rumors spreading about how it might have been canceled. I don't know if there's any truth to that. I hope it's not true, but if they did give some news about Renee, it could help quell some of those rumors. I don't really want that though. Frankly, I don't want anything on this slide. I don't want a pack announcement. I don't want Renee stuff. I want free base game update stuff. So let's talk about that instead, because I have a couple of ideas for SDX drops. If you're confused, an SDX drop is smaller than an update. So usually an SDX drop would have like a couple of items. In the past, we've gotten like a couple of hairs in an SDX drop. It stands for Sims Delivery Express, and they've done it so they could give small little content drops in between the big major updates. It could be clothing, furniture, hairs, whatever. So if they don't do a full big base game update, I feel like they should at least do a small SDX drop. This is really weird, but you've maybe never seen this shirt before, so I wanted to show you. For the 17th anniversary of The Sims, we got this weird like jersey t-shirt. I kind of like the front. The front has like the cow plant and all these funny little Sims references, but the back has the 17 on it. I really wish it didn't have the 17 on it, but it does. So it kind of makes me wonder like, oh, could they do something like this, but with a 10 theme or something? They could potentially do a whole set of like different number 10 sort of things. I don't really like that because it probably isn't very usable, but it might be an interesting idea, and that's easy for them if they can't do too much else. My personal preference is if we get a massive base game update. And I have a long list of ideas for what this base game update might be, or at least for what I want the base game update to be. The first and like maybe most obvious is a 10 items for 10 years kind of thing. That'd be kind of similar to their 21 item theme, but just less, I guess. But that could be cool because we could get some new clothing, some new furniture. I like the idea of a big mix, kind of like how they had some food and skin details and all these random things. We could get like a hair and a shirt and a tattoo and a bed, or, you know, just a variety of different items. I think that would be a cool way to celebrate. What I would like to see the most is a swatch update. They've done quite a few swatch updates in the past with like massive overhauls of all the base game swatches. They did a huge update for door and window colors. We had a big bathroom update recently. The bathroom one had like new slots even on items. I feel like it's about time to go back and refresh more of the base game stuff. It's looking pretty outdated. It's like 10 years old. The whole color scheme they used to use back then doesn't even match all the new stuff. They've really changed the vibes of the Sims 4 furniture style. They had a lot of like really saturated, bright, vibrant colors back then, like neon yellows and that neon pinky purple color. But now they're doing more pastels these days, so it doesn't really mesh well that often with the new stuff. I have been begging for a big swatch update to beds for years. All of the base game beds need some new swatches, and they don't even have to be fancy. I literally just want plain colors. Like if the cheapest base game bed could come in some plain colors, like solid black, solid white, couple different bed frames with just plain wood and like a solid white bedspread. It sounds boring, but seriously, if we just had a plain white bedspread, it would be so much easier to use, because then you can mix and match it with different rugs and different wallpapers and it would all kind of fit together and still look different enough. I want probably like 10 more swatches on every single base game bed, and I'm being serious. I have used every base game bed swatch so many times by this point. Like, we need more colors so bad. I'd also love to see some more kitchen cabinet swatches. They actually did do this a while back on a couple of the base game cabinets, but they gotta do more. We need more base game cabinet colors. If they could do the tile countertop and like swap it out for a granite or something on one of them, that would be huge. I'd also love to see the couches in the base game get some more colors, especially that one that's career locked. It only has 3 swatches, but it looks like the most normal couch ever. Or if we could get like one new couch that looks like a normal, just comfy couch, because the cheapest couches right now are nice and plain, but they look kind of like plastic. So I want to have just like a normal couch. No fancy wood frames, just a normal looking couch. And I think they could do that with swatches. And then also rugs. I would love to have some more base game rug swatches. I feel like those things are my biggest hangups about the base game right now. They're the biggest things too. Those items really determine the style of a room because they're so big and so important. So having more variants would really help. I think they could also potentially do a hair overhaul. This one's maybe a little bit less likely, but I'd love if they could go back and fix some of the textures on those OG base game hairs, because a lot of the oldest hairs from the base game look really bad. Like, the texture is objectively bad on them, especially compared to the newer ones. It looks like a totally different style, like a completely different game even. And they've been slowly going back and trying to do that, like a couple hairs at a time. Even just recently with Love Struck, we got 2 new edited versions of a couple base game hairs, and I do appreciate that, but I'd love to see more of it. And lastly, I think if they made another hot tub, it would be kind of iconic. Imagine we get like a 10 items thing and one of them's a hot tub again. I would laugh. I would be genuinely happy. Like a hot tub redemption arc or something. It would just be fun to do. It's a fun reference to themselves. I don't know. Maybe that's controversial, but I would like it. I do have some swatch examples on here just to kind of show how badly we need more of these. Even like this counter doesn't really have a solid white and black. The white is kind of blue toned and the blacks are kind of blue toned too. We need some more neutrals, please. I am begging them for this. Maybe some more wood colors with just plain white countertops. Or if they had like some painted cabinets, like a solid green or a solid blue, just to kind of make this one look a little bit nicer. We need more colors on this. I could go on and on all day about a swatch update. This is what I want. This is what I need to see in The Sims 4. As far as the other hot tub thing goes, I think they could totally embrace the meme and do it again. I also think that just adding something kind of Sims would be fun, because at the same time as the hot tub, we got this perfect plumb bob ceiling fan, and it's literally a plumb bob ceiling fan. I think if they made a few kind of silly plumb bob items, that would be cool too. There's a balance to it, because I don't want every swatch to be goofy and plumb bobby, but I think it's kind of funny to have at least 1 or 2 that are kind of silly and overly Sims. Or maybe similar to like that jersey shirt with the cow plant and the freezer bunny and like all the Sims references. If we got like a Grim Reaper poster, that kind of reference is still usable because you could put it in like a kid's room. Maybe that's too dark for a kid's room, but you know what I mean? Like if we had some sort of Sims reference on wall art or like on a kid's bedspread, that kind of stuff is cute too. And then it still feels like you're celebrating the Sims, but also giving us new items. And I do have a couple of other ideas for dreams that would be cool that I just think are never gonna happen. There's like no shot we're getting these, but I'll point them out anyway. I think it would be really cool to get some extra hair color swatches for all the hairs. They did that a couple years ago and gave us a couple new blonde swatches. There's a couple new brown swatches, but I would love to see some like dyed hair options, maybe like some new blues, some new pink hairs, more pastel hair colors maybe. That is a massive undertaking to go back through and update every single hair, and they did it before and kind of messed it up. So I would be extremely surprised if that happened again, but I would not be mad. There's a lot of talk about preteens in the Sims community as well. I think there's no way they're adding preteens. I could sit here and talk about this all day, but personally, I don't even want preteens. The idea is that people want to have a life state in between child and teenager, and I get it, like it is kind of a big jump, but I think for me, I would rather have them add more stuff for children and more stuff for teens to make each of those feel more fleshed out than if they added something in the middle. I don't want to have a third kind of bad life state. I'd rather have the other two existing ones be better. So I'm not team preteen personally, but a lot of people are. Obviously, cars are lacking in The Sims 4. I've made entire videos about cars before. I just don't see it happening ever for this game at this point. That would be iconic if they dropped a car update on the 10th birthday, but I really don't see it happening. This is one of my other most controversial opinions, but I would really like to see another pet pack or like an update for pet packs. I think that we're really lacking in terms of pet content. I'd love to have some cuter cat trees, better pet beds that aren't just like flat with better swatches. If they made a second pet stuff, like a second pet pack, I actually would probably buy it and be excited about it. In an ideal world, it would be an update, like a pack refresh to cats and dogs, but I still wouldn't be mad if we got a whole nother pet pack. That's a terrible idea for a 10th birthday celebration, but some sort of pack refresh, like going back and updating an older pack, I don't think is a bad idea. And I think cats and dogs would be cool just to get some more swatches to it. We don't need new gameplay necessarily. I would just love to have recolors, honestly, of some of the things in cats and dogs. Obviously, you can get CC for that, but not everybody has access to mods. So we have to think bigger picture about like console players and stuff. And I think cats and dogs could use some updates at this point. So again, it's not that these things are impossible. I just feel like this is very unlikely. They're like wish list, big time wish list type of stuff. And those are all of my ideas. So I think for me, in an ideal scenario, I'd like to have some combination of a few of them. I'd love to have a swatch update. That's like number one biggest for me. I'd like a pack sale. I think that would be cool. Perhaps a free pack. And I'd love some sort of blog post or like social media post about The Sims 4 and like celebrating stats over the years. I think that's my perfect ideal mix. I'd be really curious to know in the comments what you all think about this. Like, what would you like to see to celebrate the 10th birthday? Do you think they'll do anything to celebrate the 10th birthday? We're kind of running out of time here, so they're not gonna like change their minds based on this video. It's too late. They only have a couple of weeks. They could probably get together a blog post though. I think they could probably manage that in the next couple of weeks. But as far as update stuff goes, if that hasn't been started, it's not gonna happen. So really fingers crossed we actually get something cool. I'm sorry if I have gotten your hopes up and it ends up being bad. I just feel like it's 10 years. They have to do something, right? And I think on that note, I'm gonna stop ranting at you and I will end this video right here. It's kind of dark in my office right now. Believe it or not, it's like 10 a.m. There's a tropical storm in Florida right now, so it's real bad out there. It looks kind of like the sun setting, but no, not quite. Thank you again for watching this video. If you like these sort of Sims talky videos, I make them occasionally. I'll link a previous one here on the end card for you, and I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow. Okay? Bye, everybody. Oh, and make sure you're subscribed because if and when there is an update, I will tell you everything that comes in it. Hopefully there is an update. I'm gonna feel real silly if there is not.